I have a question. When you go to the place your world boss is supposed to spawn, when you go to the Citadel of Loyalty in Bastion, and you wake up on Wednesday, on the reset, waiting to meet Valinor, the world boss that is going to give you your best in slot legendary, about 3 times as good as the piece of garbage you're stuck with. You go there, and there is nothing. There is nothing because turns out Valinor is not spawning today. It's going to be a piece of garbage 3-fuck in Ardenweald. So when it looks like your world boss is going to be spawning on the 30th of December, why live is the question. What is left in life? What is my purpose now? Why? Why do this? Take me away. I'm done here. Goodbye. So, good morning everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, I don't give a shit. I'm pissed. The first news of the day, the first disaster of the day, the first tragedy of the day is that the world boss of the week is going to be Oromano Mono, whatever the fuck the name is. A stupid fucking tree in Ardenweald. Yeah, I've seen some people, some mages, oh well, at least it drops my best in slot legendary. Yeah, well, come on, you call this a best in slot legendary? How about this? Huh? How does it look? So, yeah, that's gonna be the world boss of the week. Congrats everyone who gets the legendary. Fuck you and your stupid world boss. Now, on to other bits of news that are not gonna make me rage as much. Let's talk about PvP. I mean, you talk about PvP. I don't know shit about PvP. I'm just reporting. So, Havoc Demon Hunter has been nerfed. Why? I don't know. I would tell you why if I knew anything about PvP, but I don't. Unnatural Malice, the Night Fae Conduit, has been nerfed by 50% when affecting players. This is the Hunt Covenant ability that was supposedly super OP in PvP. Not that I know anything about it. Another bit of change is that Chaos Strike has been fixed, I guess. Tell me, Havoc Demon Hunters, if this was a problem. I had no idea about Havoc not correctly affecting Annihilation, the upgraded Metamorphosis version, as well as sometimes dealing too little damage for whatever reason. That seems to be fixed now. And then, as for PvP nerfs, we have Mage with Arcane Harmony, getting nerfed from 15 stacks max to 10. I mentioned this in all my cluelessness about PvP, that this was pretty much the only problem with this legendary. Back when it first came into the game in the beta, it didn't even have maximum stacks. It did stack to only 2% more damage per stack, so whatever. But then Blizzard gave it a cap, 100 stacks, and 6% damage per stack. And I was like, yeah, this is gonna be weird in PvP because you can just fuck around, run, and hide as a mage until you get 100 stacks, and then you can one-shot someone. So it was nerfed to 15, and now it's been nerfed even more, to 10. The last batch of nerfs, though, not really too much about Havoc, not really too much about Arcane. The real batch of nerfs goes to Rogue. Because Rogue has gotten a whole bunch of nerfs, they have gotten a nerfs to the Conduit for Reverberation, 50% reduced effect in PvP. Echoing Reprimand, the Kirin ability, 50% reduced effect in PvP. Night Stalker for Assassination has gotten its damage increase during stealth halved from 50 to 25. And then Subtlety, which was the more complained about, got another whole bunch of nerfs. Apparently Cold Blood before it was ignoring the damage reduction from Versatility for whatever reason. Shadow Blades got nerfed from 40% to 30% damage against enemy players, and then Night Stalker, the damage bonus, while in Stealth or Shadow Dance, went from 12% to 8%. Finally, Pelagos Soulbind, the Mastery buff, was reduced by 50% in PvP. And that's all I'm gonna say about it, because I don't know anything else, just to let you know. Now on to some changes and some news I might have a clue about. Well, still not really a clue about, because it's still about PvP, but it's about loot, it's about gear. What's the bit of news? Well, one guy from the US, from NA, when he got his weekly reset and went to look at the Great Vault, he saw that as he was an elite PvPer, literally, 2400 and up, arena rating, he was offered a weapon. And that weapon was 233 item level, which is Mythic Denatrius item level quality. So, what do we think about this? I think it's bad. I think it's bad because I don't think this is fair. Now, you might say I'm biased because I don't PvP, but I don't think this is fair. It's not fair because, first of all, people can immediately get to elite as of right now, whereas it's gonna take people weeks. to get to the Natrius. So the amount of loot you can start getting as an elite PvPer is simply much quicker than someone who does raids. Then you have the fact that the Natrius happens to have a loot table. PvP items like this one do not. The Natrius, for example, for me, has 2 different trinkets, a ring, and a pair of shoulders. And that's it, like there is nothing else. And also, one of those trinkets isn't even a good one. So effectively, I have 3 items and the weapon I can pick. That's it. It's 4 items. So unless this elite rewards cap at 4, then you're gonna get more rewards from being a PvPer than you get from being a Mythic Raider. Not to mention you get them earlier. Because even good guilds, even very good guilds, not the world first level ones, but they're gonna get the Natrius dead in what? 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks from now? In 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, someone who is elite right now will have gotten 4, 5, 6, 7, 233 items. Now, what we saw from the Great Vault loot is just a weapon. So just a weapon slot, possibly we can assume the offense slot as well, so it's 2 slots, max. Still, what do you think about this? I think I wouldn't even be against elite PvPers getting 233 weapons, it's just that it's very early, you know? It's much, much earlier than what a raider could get. That's the only thing I have against it. For the actual item level, for the absolute top 0.1% of PvPers, I'm fine with it. Another bit of news I have to mention because it interests me directly. Today and tomorrow are going to be the last 2 days where the free transfer is up. Please take this time to get the fuck out of my server, Kazakh. Thank you very much. And this was the end of this public service announcement. Now, next. There have been some more changes to bosses and 1 change to a dungeon. So Altimor has gotten even more changes. This has got to be one of the most changed early bosses I can remember. The distance of spread shot has been increased. This is making it easier to play the fight. And then there has been, I guess you can call a nerf to Stone Legion Generals, where Ravenous Feast and Wicked Mark can no longer happen on the same target, unless everyone else is dead. This is because Wicked Mark and Ravenous Feast were kind of doing the same thing. Wicked Mark was targeting you and then putting an 80-yard range around you, essentially detonating when other players were nearby. And then you had Ravenous Feast that would also target you and stun you in place and do damage to you. And apparently it could happen together. I've not seen it in killing the boss so far, but if it did to someone, then it would have been a problem. The main change to Plagueful, on the other hand, is pretty nice when you think about it, because the Venomous Snipers can no longer cast Venom Piercer. Venom Piercer is similar, if you remember, to the ability in King's Rest one of the Skellies was doing. It's the AoE cone that would apply a poison dot on all the targets hit. And this is also gone now. Now, to be fair, it's not the hardest part of these packs. It is mostly about the Nerubian casting the Stealthlings that you have to take out, and then the other Skelly doing the Bulwark to take less damage. Those are more annoying than this. This is more manageable, but this certainly helps. Today is also worth reminding everyone a little bit of something about loot, about gear. Let's start with the Great Vault. Okay, please don't start complaining. Please don't start complaining about the shit loot you have gotten, okay? I have gotten shit loot as well, so you are in good company. Most people apparently have been complaining about shit loot. I did too. My biggest upgrades were necklace, rings, and trinkets, and the Great Vault offered me necklace, rings, and trinkets. The only different piece was a chest, which is the slot of my legendary, so perfect options. When you see a trinket and you're like, oh wow, one of the best trinkets giving me hundreds of more DPS, great. No, it was this one. A very nice, 226 item level, doing the same damage of a Dark Moon Fair trinket. Great. So you are in the same boat as many others, don't worry if you have gotten shit loot. Talking about shit loot, Mythic Plus now is completely uncapped. Now it's gonna go all the way up to 210. It is no longer capped at 203. Now, as we talk about Mythic Plus though, because I've seen this question multiple times, I've seen people doing, hey guys, some 4 quick Mythic Zeros for the weekly. And I'm like, why? Just do Mythic Plus. The weekly Emissary of War, the dungeon weekly, asks you to clear 4 Mythic dungeons to get the heroic piece from Castle Natria. So here's the thing. Number 1, yes, you can do this in Mythic Plus. Number 2, yes, you can run the same dungeon over and over. Repeat it. Even if you get saved and don't get any loot or anything, it still counts. So I guess some people want to do it quickly because they can't wait to get the item or something. Otherwise, if you were planning on doing Mythic Plus, just complete this while doing Mythic Plus, really. So when we talk about Mythic Plus, we have to talk about the affixes. What is going on this week? So this week, on top of Prideful, obviously, being the seasonal affix, and Tyrannical, which is the rotation after Fortified, obviously, we have Bolstering and Storming. So Storming is the melee version of Volcanic, basically. The difference being that Volcanic spawns around players, ranged players, whereas Storming is going to spawn around enemies. Obviously, in most situations, it's gonna spawn around melee DPS. So it is going to be more annoying to melee DPS. It is also more annoying because it swirls around. It's not just something you can sidestep and continue doing your DPS. It would also be much easier for a melee DPS because they're not casting. It wouldn't have been a problem for them. This one makes it a little bit more annoying, and it is still going to be way more annoying for a ranged DPS. If we compare the annoyance of Volcanic to a melee, even if it's supposed to target the ranged, compared to the annoyance of Storming to a ranged, even if it's supposed to target the melee, then Storming wins hands down. It can still be pretty annoying, particularly in several dungeons where the space is cramped. Sanguine Depths is pretty annoying. You have Theater of Pain, which is also pretty cramped, so those can become pretty annoying as affixes. Now, the actual affix I want to talk about with you, about what do you dread this week, is going to be Tyrannical. So I said a few weeks ago, I don't know why I'm telling you I said this, as if you're supposed to be studying my holy sermon, but I did say that when it comes to pugs, when it comes to uncoordinated groups, Tyrannical is always going to be the hardest key. This is because, obviously, the time lost on Fortified fuck-ups is much, much shorter than the time lost on Tyrannical fuck-ups. Tyrannical fuck-up is going to wipe your own group, and you have to restart the boss. In many cases, you don't have cooldowns when you wipe, and you don't have Bloodlust either. So it is a much bigger time sink compared to Fortified, where you're wiping, maybe you kill half the pack, you know? You're wiping, maybe you rest and run back. It doesn't lose as much time, but Tyrannical, and you will soon see, I'm not trying to jinx you, but it will create a situation where all the clowns, all the shitters that got by on Fortified week, sucking at mechanics, will actually deplete your key. You could still get by a +11, +12 with absolute mongoloids dying to bosses because they didn't know mechanics, like the Draw Soul in Theater of Pain, where you have to walk on top of the grasping hands on the ground. Just finish the boss in 4 people, whatever, it's Fortified. People who can't dodge, or people who can't pick enough orbs in Sanguine Depths and just die, whatever, finish the boss. This time around, that's not gonna work. This time around, you're actually gonna die, because bosses at this level of keys, when you start going, at least this early, when you are at +12 or so, +11, +12, +13, bosses start lasting 3 to 4 minutes sometimes. So fucking up and dying in a boss that's gonna last 80 seconds, it's whatever. Fucking up and dying in a boss that's gonna last 4 minutes, it's gonna be a problem. So I'm already dreading the idea of wanting to pug. I don't even know if I will this week, and just stay within the guild, because especially all those dungeons where the hardest part is going to be the last boss on Tyrannical. So you just breeze through the first bosses, you know, you have some time left, and then you get to the wall where people just keep chain dying because it's Tyrannical. That's gonna be something. So not a fan when it comes to pugging this week, definitely. Now the last part after Mythic Plus is going to be raids. We have looked yesterday a little bit at the performance and the popularity. We're gonna wait a few more days now that the keys are unleashed. There is no more cap and Mythic Raiding is a thing. In the meantime, we can take a look at the World First race. You know, what I noticed the most from the World First race is that people don't even care too much about the actual World First race. They just want to see their spec. They just want to see their spec being part of a World First race. I can tell you how many people I've seen commenting things like, oh, my spec isn't there, GG Blizzard, dead spec, you know? They see 2 mages, oh wow, mages flavor of the month again, fucking Blizzard, always sucking up to mages. That's what most people seem to care about. If my spec is there, then I'm good. If it's not, I'm doomed. But yeah, as expected, we can say about the World First race, as expected, Complexity Limit is the only guild from NA actually putting a legit effort. As of right now, probably by the time you see this, there's gonna be maybe 1 more kill. As of right now, Echo from EU, the reformed half of Method, is already at 4 out of 10, basically achieving what all of the other US guilds got in an entire day. So yeah, it's pretty much gonna be Limit against a horde of EU guilds trying to catch up. It's gonna be interesting now because obviously we knew this. It's not a surprise that the last 3 bosses were much harder. We knew about Sludge Fist because it was very overtuned in Heroic, so you can only imagine in Mythic. We knew about the last boss, which is never a joke. The only doubt was Stone Legion Generals because it was undertuned, and then Blizzard said, fuck it, buff it by 25% in everything. So it is likely going to be also a pretty big challenge right now. Now that everything meaningful to report about is over with, I'm gonna have to go back and stress something that is triggering me since I have read this a few hours ago. How, please, how can you get into a heroic dungeon a few hours from the release of Shadowlands on November 23rd? You hit max level, we get with a group of friends, of a guild group or whatnot, you do your first heroic and you loot a legendary, November 23rd. How can certain legendaries be locked behind a world boss that is going to be released on December the 30th? That is insanity. That is nearly 40 days after the first possible obtainable legendary. 40 days! I can't let this go. This is... No, I'm sorry. I could have told you about the Feast of Winter Veil being up right now, that you can go and get your Winter Pepe, but no, fuck this. 40 days for a legendary. 40! Fuck this shit, man. No. Fuck. Fuck. Fuck.